Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a truly fascinating perspective on lifelong education and, well, the fundamental mindset of work. We're looking at a philosophy that completely challenges the very foundation of how we approach our careers. I mean, think about it. We spend decades in school. We grind through seminars. We get these expensive degrees. But what is it all actually for? Is it just this sophisticated assembly line pumping out workers, or is there a deeper purpose we're just totally missing? We're going to unpack some hard-hitting truths from our source material today that might just completely rewire how you think about your next career move, your daily job, and honestly, your overall value to society. Let's get right into it.
So let's kick things off with a question that might challenge your entire perspective on why you're even job hunting right now. Are you looking for work, or are you just looking to make money? Now, on the surface, you're probably thinking, obviously both. I work to make money, right? But our source text draws a massive fundamental line between these two motivations. When a highly educated graduate, we're talking someone with a master's or a PhD, finally steps out into the real world, their primary motivation literally dictates how the world is going to treat them. Are they stepping out to find a place to really apply their skills and do the work? Or are they just stepping out to extract cash from an employer?
To really understand why that distinction matters so much, we kind of have to look at how we define education itself. The source argues that modern education has completely lost its way. Right now, what we call lifelong education is basically just teaching people how to secure a paycheck. We're teaching technical skills, interview hacks, resume building, the whole shebang. But true education is about building a mindset. It's about creating a standard for how you live in the world and how you approach society. If you only learn the technical skills but lack the proper mindset, the universe, or society rather, simply won't provide you with a place to work. It's a pretty harsh reality check. Skills without the right philosophy are ultimately kind of useless.
Which brings us to a really critical philosophical split in how people approach their careers. Section 1. Working for money versus value. Now, what's incredibly interesting here is the vivid contrast between the worker who demands money up front and the worker who simply wants to master the job. Let's look at the money seeker first. This person walks into an interview and their very first thought is, how much are you going to pay me? Because their primary condition is cash, the employer immediately views the relationship purely as a transaction. If you demand money first, you better deliver absolutely perfectly or you're treated as disposable. You're easily fired. But contrast that with the value creator. This person asks, what is the nature of this work? Does this actually align with my future? They commit to doing the job exceptionally well without throwing monetary conditions on the table up front. And because they focus on the work itself, they earn immense, undeniable respect.
The crucial point here is summed up perfectly by a quote from the text. Society does not wait for people to give money to, it waits for people to do the work. I mean, think about it from the perspective of a business owner. They aren't just sitting around in their offices hoping to hand out cash to whoever happens to walk through the door. No way. They have problems that desperately need solving. They're looking for someone, anyone, who wants to roll up their sleeves and just do the work. If you walk in radiating this vibe that you just want to grab their money, their guard naturally goes right up. But if you walk in radiating a genuine desire to solve their problems, they're going to welcome you with open arms. Let's move on to the next concept and see exactly how this value-first mindset builds massive, exponential returns over time. Section 2, the 3-year trust multiplier. This lays out a fascinating mathematical reality presented in our source. Okay, let's say you take a job and earn a modest salary, maybe roughly 3 million Korean won a month. If you're a money seeker, you're going to scrimp, save, and stress over every single penny. Over 3 years of backbreaking saving, you might amass 100 million won. That's your absolute ceiling. But if you spend those exact same 3 years as a value creator, focusing purely on earning your boss's complete trust, working diligently, not constantly nagging for raises, something truly magical happens. Your boss doesn't just give you a raise, they give you their complete faith. After 3 years, they aren't just handing you 100 million won, they'll hand you a 2 to 3 billion won project, all because they know for a fact they can trust you to run it.
By removing that upfront condition of money and focusing entirely on the work, your personal market value just absolutely skyrockets. The text really emphasizes that society is incredibly accurate at calculating value. If you do the work well, you won't be shortchanged. When you finally stop obsessing over your daily wage, your employer actually starts looking for ways to support you, to invest in you, and to give you the resources you need to succeed on a massive scale. You literally stop being a line item expense on a spreadsheet and you become an irreplaceable asset. You elevate your own price tag to a level that simple saving could just never, ever achieve.
And the speaker describes this economic reality not just as some clever business tactic, but as an inevitable law. Section 3. The Law of Nature.
This core philosophy is known in the source as the law of nature, or Daejeon Wi Bopchik. It's basically the principle that society organically rewards those who provide value and actively punishes greed and complacency. It brilliantly illustrates that you cannot physically force success. You can't hack it, you can't trick the market into paying you more than the value you actually provide. If you act out of petty greed, demanding money without delivering trust and quality, the natural rule of society will push you down. It will make your life incredibly difficult. Every action has an equal reaction, right? Value brings reward, greed brings punishment.
Now, to prove that this isn't just some abstract philosophy meant for corporate boardrooms, let's look at a highly relatable real-world case study from the retail sector. Section 4, the traditional market's downfall. This tracks the evolution of consumer choice, perfectly demonstrating what happens when businesses forget to value their customers and start prioritizing their own pockets. We start with traditional markets, which held local monopolies for a long time. Then came the early supermarkets, which were slightly better but, eventually grew pretty arrogant and complacent themselves. Finally, we see the rise of the megamarts, bringing corporate efficiency and this extreme level of customer service. This evolution wasn't just driven by lower prices. It was driven entirely by how the customers were being treated.
Picture this specific scenario outlined in the source. Imagine you're at Bujian Market, right? A famous traditional market in Busan. A customer walks up to a fish vendor, they're just browsing, checking to see if the fish is fresh. Well, instead of welcoming them, the vendor, annoyed that the customer isn't instantly handing over cash, rudely tosses a plastic bag down. They treat the browser with actual hostility. If the customer walks away to find better fish, the vendor curses them out for ruining their morning luck. This was a daily occurrence. Constant arguing, microaggressions, extreme rudeness. These traditional vendors were so blinded by the immediate desire for money that they treated the very people bringing them money with total disrespect.
Enter the megamarts. These corporate entities didn't just stumble into success, they sent researchers into the field. Step 1. They conducted deep market research and found out that customers were emotionally exhausted by the rudeness at traditional markets. Step 2. They built massive, beautiful, temperature-controlled displays with fresh inventory so you could just browse in total peace. And Step 3. This is absolutely crucial. They trained their staff to offer extreme, uncompromising politeness. Welcome. How can I help you? Let me find that for you. They engineered an environment of total customer respect.
The harsh reality here is that traditional markets didn't fail due to bad luck or unfair corporate monopolies. They failed because they literally drove their own customers away. The traditional vendors felt entitled to the customer's money without putting in the respectful work to actually earn it. When a megamart opened up offering both clean products and profound respect, the choice for the consumer was a no-brainer. The traditional market vendors were punished by that very law of nature we discussed earlier. Their greed and complacency literally chased their livelihood right out the door.
This brings us to an incredibly powerful quote from the source text. Because you are greedy for money, you are treated as lower class. Those who come to work are never treated as lower class. This powerful takeaway connects the fish vendor's failure right back to our job seeker from the beginning of the explainer. If your primary focus is extracting cash, whether you're selling fish in a market or selling your resume to a tech firm, society will push you away and treat you as disposable. But if you are there to do the work, to provide genuine value and service, society elevates you. You're respected, you're protected, and ultimately you are highly compensated.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to really challenge how you approach your very next career move. Will you spend the next 3 years chasing a paycheck or building the trust that makes you invaluable? Are you going to be the vendor throwing the plastic bag, or are you going to be the professional who understands that true value is built on trust, respect, and doing the work exceptionally well? The choice is entirely yours, but as we've learned today, the law of nature is always going to respond accordingly. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating perspective, and I highly encourage you to carry this mindset into whatever work you tackle next.